Welcome to session 1 of Embodied Existence. And in this session today, we will be exploring our connection to our body. And for some of us, that might look like just beginning to kind of feel and connect with sensations. And for others, this might feel very familiar. But wherever you are in your journey, I celebrate the fact that you have shown up to your mat today. Sometimes this is the hardest part. And everything in this class is an invitation. And so I'm not just saying that, I really mean it. What that means and what that looks like is that your body is yours, and what you decide to do with your body is up to you. I'm going to be offering you suggestions and options and things that you could or might explore, but at the end of the day, what you decide to do with your body is celebrated and it's honored. We'll be starting standing today if that feels welcome to you. If not, you could always start seated if you need a little bit of time to kind of ground and just arrive into the space that you're in. So, if you'd like to join me standing, you might just find your feet underneath you. Taking a minute to kind of check in with your space, check in with your surroundings, and notice if you have the props that you need. Definitely a blanket or a beach towel. You can have blocks if you want them. We won't really be using them too much today, but you never know. So it's better to have them than not. You might also have a bolster or a second blanket or towel. And anything else you might need or want. And when you feel ready, you might either start seated or standing. And if you choose to start standing, you might begin to bring some awareness into your feet. You can stand however you want to stand, adjusting your stance so that you feel stable. And if it feels welcome, you might even allow your toes and your feet to stretch out a little bit more, taking up a little bit more space, perhaps even rocking from one side to the other, shifting your weight and feeling the difference in your feet. If you'd like, you could leave your hands wherever they are, or you might explore placing one hand over your heart and one over your abdomen. You don't have to have your eyes closed. But if you want to, you can. If you choose to leave your eyes open, you might stare down the bridge of the nose, maybe softening your gaze. Can you bring all of your awareness into your feet? Staying here for just a few more breaths. As you just feel the weight of your body and gravity settling into the soles of your feet. Last breath. And then if you'd like to join me for a few half sun salutations, you might begin by coming to the top of your mat and then maybe releasing your hands down to your sides. And we'll take about 5 of these half sun salutations. And here you can really move at your own pace. You might do more or less than me, depending on how fast or slow you want to be moving today. And there's really no right or wrong. The whole focus and intention here is not to do it right or to do it perfect. The goal and intention is to connect with your body. So can we start to notice our breath? Notice the fact that you are breathing. Maybe a big exhale out of the mouth. And then if you are ready to begin moving, you might start by inhaling and reaching the arms up overhead. Perhaps really stretching up. And then an exhale. You might bend into the knees a little bit to forward fold. Adjust your stance here if it's needed. And then with your next inhale, you could leave your hands connected to the earth or bring your hands to your shins as you halfway lift, lengthening through the spine. A third option is to bring your hands to your quads for your halfway lift. And then as you exhale, you might begin to fold right back down. Maybe the hamstrings feel a little bit tight today. I know mine do. And then if you're ready to lift back up, you can inhale, bend into your knees, rise all the way up, reaching the arms up overhead. And then exhale, maybe you bring the hands down to heart center or release them down to your side. So that was one half sun salutation. I invite you to move through 4 more with me, give or take. And I'll continue to guide you and give cues, but just know that you can make this your own. So if you're ready, you might inhale and reach your arms up. And then exhale to fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Hands to the floor, the shins, or the quads, you choose. And then exhale to fold right back down. Inhale when you are ready to rise. And then exhale, maybe this time you just find your way right back down into your fold. Inhale for a halfway lift when you are ready for it. Exhale to let it go. And then inhale to sweep yourself up. And an exhale. Finding a rhythm here. Inhale, halfway lift of your choosing. And when you're ready to fold, letting your air out. And an inhale to rise. I think that was number 4, so I think this is our last one. Exhaling to fold forward. And an inhale for a halfway lift. And then exhale to fold. And this time, when you get to your very last fold here of this 5, option 2, check in with your knees, maybe noticing if they're locked out. And if so, that's okay. It's not bad. But if your hamstrings are feeling really tight, really tense, it might feel welcome to add a micro bend or a deep bend into your knees. And here you could also allow your arms to grow heavy if it feels welcome to your body. It might not. You also might allow your neck to grow heavy, your head to grow heavy, perhaps shaking your head no, and then nodding it yes, allowing it to come back to stillness. As we take one last breath here, however you can leave this shape whenever you want. And then with your next inhale, if you are ready to leave this forward fold, because you could stay longer if you want, you might bring your hands to your shins and find a halfway lift, just kind of taking a minute so that our blood pressure can regulate. And then you might continue to rise all the way up. And your choice here, you might grab your elbows or you might hook your thumbs together with your arms extended, but you choose. And breathing in. If you'd like, you could start to lean over to one side, taking a lateral stretch, a side stretch. Allowing your inhale to bring you back to center. And your exhale, maybe you explore the other side. One more each side. Moving at your own pace. And when you feel complete, I'll meet you right back at center. Option to release the arms, maybe roll through the shoulders or the neck. And then checking back in with your feet, noticing how do my legs and my feet feel? How does the connection between the soles of my feet and my mat beneath me feel? Is it different? Is it the same as when we started? And if it feels different, how does it feel different? Perhaps your feet feel heavier maybe, or maybe a little bit wider. Maybe it's a different sensation. And if you're ready to move on, you might have a wall nearby if you'd like some support in balancing, but if not, you don't have to. And I'll turn to the side so you can see me a bit better. But we'll adjust our stance into something that allows you to feel strong and stable. And you might even allow your toes to stretch out a little bit wider. And then we have two options here. Option one, you might simply balance by shifting over into your left foot. Maybe bringing your right toes to the floor, perhaps placing a hand on a wall or something next to you. You could always float your right knee up. So option one, right toes to the floor. Option two, hover the right foot. Option three, you might swim your right foot back and grab a hold of your right foot or ankle with your right hand, coming into a quad stretch. So 3 choices here. If balance feels a little bit wonky today, it might help to find a still unmoving spot right ahead of you and focus on that one spot. Another option is to place your hand on something steady, such as a wall. And we'll be here for just 2 more rounds of breath, 2 to 3, depending on how fast or slow you breathe. And as you're here for this last 1 or 2 breaths, you might observe in your mind's eye your left foot connected to the floor, your left leg strong and steady. And with your exhale, or when you decide to, you might release your right leg. Option to shake out your left leg if it feels like it's just been doing some work. You might stretch through your toes or roll through your ankles. And then we'll switch to the next side. So shifting the weight into your right foot. Remember that you have option 1, left toes to the mat. or hover the left leg, or option 3, send your left foot back, holding onto it with your left hand, finding a point of focus, a dristi, Sanskrit word to name or describe our point of focus. And we'll take another 2 or 3 breaths here. Last one. You might release with your exhale, feeling into your body. And if you're ready, you could inhale your arms up. Exhale for a forward fold. We're going to work our way back into a child's pose. So if you'd like, you could inhale, find a halfway lift. And then exhale to let it go. Bending your knees so that your hands can make contact with the floor. You could step one foot back and then the other, bringing your knees to the mat. And here I invite you to find a child's pose. And it might feel welcome to take your knees a little bit wider than the hips, perhaps even as wide as the mat, as your big toes touch just back behind you. They don't have to overlap, just touch. And then you might send your hips back toward your heels. Option 1, release your forehead down to the mat. Option 2, you might turn your face to the side and allow your gaze to stay open. Option 3, you could always stack your fists underneath your chin to allow your head and gaze to stay up and open. And we'll be here for about 10 breaths or so. Perhaps you take a moment to scan through your body, noticing what do you feel, what's present for you. Our bodies are speaking to us in sensations all day long. It's not a matter of our body not speaking to us, but rather the question of, are we listening? Sensations are in the body. They allow us to experience our internal world and how we respond to and react to external stimuli, the external world. These sensations that you feel are not good or bad, they just are. And in our Pancha Maya Kosha model, the 5 layers of the self, the first layer is our body. It is our muscles, our bones, our ligaments. It is our flesh and bones. So I offer you an affirmation to connect with for the remainder of class, which is, I am listening as my body speaks. I am listening as my body speaks. Last breath here. And if you'd like to, you might begin to Lift your head if it isn't already, perhaps rocking yourself forward into a tabletop shape. And a tabletop is just having your hands connected to the earth, maybe somewhere underneath your shoulders, or if your shoulders are feeling a little tight, you might take the hands a little bit wider. Knees might end up somewhere underneath the hips, but again, it's not about perfection. This is more about, can we tune in, can we listen? So option 2, take a cat-cow, or just explore organic movement. So organic movement can be anything you want it to be here. It could include cat-cows. And if you're not sure what a cat-cow is, you might start by inhaling and allowing your spine to drape down, your stomach to drape down toward the floor. As you open up your heart space forward, only as much as you want to. And then with your exhale, you could curl the spine up towards the ceiling, maybe even tucking the tailbone and the chin in a little bit closer together. This is a cat-cow. Inhale, you might reverse that movement. Spine bows down, gaze lifts up. Exhale, curl the spine up again. So there's your cat-cow, or you could kind of add on to it. Starting to connect with your body in this non-regimented way. Organic movement is exactly as it sounds. There's no agenda. There's no right or wrong. You also don't even have to worry about what you look like, because you're probably practicing with this recording on your own. There's no one around to probably watch you or look at what you're doing. You can be completely uninhibited here as we move the body in any way we want to for the next 2 to 3 rounds of breath. Are you listening as your body speaks? Your body speaks in sensations. It speaks in body feelings. Can you pay attention to those sensations? All right, starting to make our way back to center here. Taking your time, there's no rush. Option 1 is to extend your right leg back behind you. Stretching out through the right leg, maybe taking some ankle rolls. Can you feel, bring all of your awareness into the sensation into your right ankle, noticing. You might stay here with your right leg extended, or option 2, bend into your right knee and float your right foot up towards the ceiling, kind of like in a 90-degree angle, give or take. And again, you might stay here, or if you'd like a little bit of movement, you might take a breath in and exhale. Just tap the floor with your right knee, holding that 90-degree angle. And then inhale, reach the right foot up. Exhale, tap the floor with your right knee. Inhale, reach it up. Last one. All right. Option to return back to this 90-degree angle, maybe just pausing here, or if you would like to take another quad stretch, you could take your left hand. Maybe you extend it out ahead of you. This is another place that we could be. Or maybe you swim your left hand back for your right foot. Take a quad stretch here. It might be helpful to press your right foot into your left hand. It helps provide a little bit of feedback. So don't be worried about getting this right. Instead, can you be in your body wherever you are? Last breath. And exhale, you might start to release. Bringing your hand down to the floor, and option 2, step your right foot out to the side. With your right foot out to the side, you might begin to rock the hips back, maybe forward. Where do you feel an increased sensation in your body from entering into this shape, in this pose? What changed? Was there an increase in feeling in a particular area of your body? And if so, where? One more breath here. You might choose to stay right where you are, perhaps continuing to rock back and forth if you are still exploring this feeling, or if you'd like, you could walk your hands back toward you and lift up. So the bottom part of our body, our legs, can still stay the same, but what's different is the top half. So you might kind of feel into this here. And option to inhale, then reach your arms up overhead. And exhale, you might bring your right hand to your right leg, or whichever leg is extended, that same side, and maybe reach over with your left. 3 breaths in and out. Two more. And an inhale to come right back up to center. And an exhale to release the hands down if you feel complete, if you feel done here. Option to pull the right leg back in, maybe moving through your hip. Option to take a few hip rolls by moving your right knee around. And then if you're ready, you could take a child's pose. This is option 1. Sending the hips back toward the heels. Maybe the forehead comes down to the mat. Maybe you look to the side. Maybe you stack your fists. 3 choices here. A completely second and different option is to find a downward facing dog. So if you'd like to explore that, you could tuck your toes, walk your hands forward just a little bit ahead of your shoulders, and with the breath in, begin to lift the hips up. I like to keep my knees bent for this first one. Helps me create a little bit of space. And then maybe release one heel down to the floor and then switch it up for the other heel. This is kind of like pedaling out your feet as if you were on a bicycle. One goes up, one goes down. Another option, if you choose to be here in down dog, is to take your feet as wide as the mat if your hamstrings are feeling very tight and maybe would appreciate a bit more space. So wherever you are, downward facing dog or child's pose, there is no wrong decision. But can we be curious here for the next 3 to 4 rounds of breath? This shape that you have chosen, what kind of feelings in your body, your muscles, your ligaments, how are they responding? What's coming up for these pieces of you? What are they saying? If you're in down dog, you might meet me in a child's pose if you're ready to release from that shape. If not, you could stay there as long as you want.
And with your mind's eye, you might just take a quick scan through your body. Again, noticing the differences here. Perhaps there is an increase in warmth. Maybe your heart is beating a little bit faster or a little bit harder. Or perhaps your breathing has changed in some way. With your next inhale, or when you decide you're ready to, you might begin to lift your head to gaze forward, and I'll meet you in a tabletop shape. And we'll do what we just did on the right side, on the left side. So option 1, you could begin to extend your left leg out, adjusting your stance as needed. If you feel a little bit wobbly or that your arms are really far out, you might walk the hands back so that they are somewhere underneath the shoulders or thereabouts. Notice how that might feel. If it adds a little bit of stability, you might start to roll through your left ankle, or maybe point and flex through your left foot. And then you can stay here. This is option 1. Option 2 is to bend your left knee. Maybe you pause here. Option 3, you can inhale. And then exhale, tap your left knee to the floor. And breathe in, press your left foot up. 2 more. Tap it to the floor and press up. Last one. Tap and press. Great. I'll meet back at center here. So you could hang out right here. If this is feeling like it's providing lots of information and sensation. Option 2, you could reach your right hand out. Option 3, you could swim your right hand back for your left foot, finding a quad stretch. It might be helpful to press your left foot into your right hand, provide some feedback. Notice what happens in your left quad when you do so, if you choose to do that. About 2 more breaths here. Embrace the shakes and the wobbles. I'm definitely wobbling. Last breath. And exhale. Let it go. Maybe you stretch through your left leg or move through your left hip. Or maybe it's your right leg that would appreciate some relief. And then we will start to extend our left leg out to the left. Maybe start to rock back and forth if you want to. Or it might feel welcome just to stay at stillness. But wherever you are, whatever you choose, can we be all here with our bodies, inside of our bodies, with awareness, knowing that whatever you find there, whatever you feel, is not wrong. It is not bad. There is nothing wrong with you. Whatever your experience is, it is welcome. It is celebrated. There is no right or wrong here. You might continue to stay here, just rocking back and forth, or if you want, you could walk your hands back toward you and lift up. And then option to inhale and reach the arms up. Maybe you bring your hand down to your extended leg and lean over for 3 breaths. Perhaps you bring some awareness into this open side of your body. Taking 2 more conscious inhales into this side. Noticing that when you breathe in, does that change the sensation you're feeling compared to when you breathe out? And then after your 3rd breath, you might start to come out of it. Perhaps bringing your hands back down to the earth, drawing your leg back in. And then if you'd like, you could take a child's pose for 3 rounds of breath. Bringing our community affirmation to mind if you've chosen to work with it. I am listening as my body speaks. It doesn't take much. Sometimes we make a bigger deal out of it than what it needs to be. It can be as simple as you noticing when you have a different sensation in your body. That's it. That's all we're doing here. You can stay here in child's pose as long as you want, or if you're ready to move on to our next shape, and one of our final shapes before we move into a time of guided meditation. You can meet me here in tabletop, and instead of having the knees as wide as the hips, you might move them in together to touch. It's a much narrower stance. And here with our right leg, you could extend your leg back out behind you, and then cross your right knee behind your left, kind of like you're crossing your legs to sit in a chair. And then option here to allow your ankles to separate, maybe taking them towards the edges of your mat. So if you look back at your legs, you kind of have like this wide V pattern. Option 1, you might start to just rock the hips back and then rock forward. At your own pace, rocking back, rocking forward, tuning in to how your hips feel. You might even choose to find some stillness with the hips back. The arms can be underneath you. They don't have to stay outstretched. You might even walk them in closer, maybe bringing your elbows down to the mat. And here you'll notice that my hips are floating up above the floor. Okay? So stillness for movement. And then if you'd like something a little bit different, you could walk your hands back and allow your hips to come down to the mat. And here you might need to actually move the flesh of your calf or your quad. So I definitely need to do that so you can readjust. And this can be a very big stretch with a very big sensation. So please honor your body and do what's best for you. You are the only one who knows what that is and can make that choice for yourself. So here, if you feel like, okay, this is a big sensation, but I can breathe through it, then you might simply start to tune into your breath. You might even notice that the longer you're here, the more the sensation in your body lessens or dissipates. And we'll be here for another 8 or so rounds of breath. However, you can always leave sooner. You do not have to be here just because I'm here. You could always stay longer than 8 breaths. This is your practice, and you are welcome to do whatever you need to do. With your mind's eye, can you scan through your body and search for the place where you feel the most sensation from this shape? Another 3 or 4 rounds of breath, give or take. And then when you find that increased sensation, you don't have to do anything about it. The only thing we're doing is noticing, just becoming aware of this feeling in our bodies. Last breath in and out. If you are ready to move on from this shape, your top leg, for me it's my left leg, it might be the same for you, but your top leg can just bring your left foot to the floor, or your foot, whichever foot it is, to the floor, so that the bottom leg stays the same and your top knee points up towards the ceiling while your foot is planted on the mat. And here you might even hold on to your knee and inhale. Perhaps find some space in the spine by sitting up a little bit taller as we breathe in. Option 1 is to stay here at center. Option 2 is to exhale and allow yourself to turn toward your knee. Maybe holding on to your knee by wrapping your hand around it, or you could even hook your elbow against your knee, and your back hand might find the floor for some stability. 3 breaths here. Last one. If you're ready to unravel, you might start to come back to center, allowing your legs to stretch out. Maybe you take your hands back behind you. Maybe shake the legs out. And then we'll take it on the other side. Coming back into tabletop. Knees could be touching. And then this time, if you want to take it on the other side, you could extend your left leg instead, if you are following the sides that I'm on. And then crossing your left leg back behind. And then allowing the ankles to separate towards the edges of your mats. So you could start to rock back and forward. You might even need to adjust some of the muscles and flesh of your legs. Finding your own rhythm here. Bringing all of your awareness into this experience that you are currently having right now in this present moment. If you'd like to find stillness, you might send the hips back, take a pause, maybe allow your elbows to meet the mat. Or you could Continue to sit the hips back, adjusting your muscles and flesh as needed. This side of your body might feel really different than the previous side, or it might feel really similar. But either way, we'll do the same thing that we've been doing this whole time, which is listening, being curious. I am listening as my body speaks. And these big hip opening shapes, it is common to experience a release of emotions, which you may or may not have. But if you are, again, just know that you are in total control here. You can choose to stay for another 5 breaths, breathing through this sensation, or choosing to leave it or stay longer at any point. There's no right or wrong. Three more breaths. Last inhale and exhale here. And then you can decide if you are ready to move on or if you want to stay longer. If you are ready to move on, you might take your top leg and plant your foot, allowing your top knee to come up. And then maybe allowing your spine to follow, also floating up towards the ceiling. Option 1, stay here at center. Option 2, you might breathe in. And exhale, twist toward your knee. Maybe hugging your knee in or hooking your elbow. Whatever feels right to you. We'll take 3 breaths here. Only twisting as much as you want to. If you feel ready to release, you might unravel, come back to center. Option to stretch your legs out. Maybe even take your feet as wide as the mat with your hands stabilizing you back behind you. You could send both knees over to one side and then the other. Taking a few windshield wipers. Last one. And here I invite you to set up for your Shavasana. However, we will go through a short guided meditation beforehand. So you can set up now so that you are nice and supported before we settle in. Here's a couple options that you might explore. One, you might want to lay on your back, and if you do, you could always support your lower back by taking a bolster or a blanket and placing it underneath your knees. Lying on your back is not the only option, but this is one option. If lying on your back does not feel welcome for whatever reason, another option is to lie on your side, maybe even taking the blanket and supporting your hips by placing it in between your knees. Maybe a second blanket underneath your head for comfort. You could also explore lying on your stomach or simply staying seated and using your blankets to maybe support you by sitting on your blanket or anything else that feels welcome. Your choice and preference for how you rest is totally personal to you, and there is no correct way to do it. So as you take some time and get set up, you might check in with your body when you arrive and notice, does this feel welcome? This shape and these props that you might have chosen for yourself, does this feel like it's going to allow my body to sink into a time of rest? And if you need to make any adjustments, even if they just make you 10% more supported, please take the time to adjust and rearrange as needed. And I'd like to guide you through a short sensation search through your body before we move into our time of quiet rest. With your mind's eye, I invite you to search through your body and find a sensation of coolness or even cold. Where in your body do you feel a sense of coolness or cold? When you find that area of your body that's experiencing that sensation, that temperature, you might simply just be with it, notice it. You don't have to do anything about it. And then releasing that sensation of cold or cool, and begin searching through your body again for a sensation of warmth. Where in your body do you find this sensation of warmth? And then releasing the sensation of warmth, beginning to search through your body again and find a sense of tightness or even constriction. Releasing the sensation of tightness and searching through your body, finding a sensation of expansion, open expansion. And finally, our last two sensations, releasing this sense of open expansion and searching through your body for a feeling of lightness or almost being airy and weightless. Releasing that sensation and searching one last time for a sensation of rootedness, groundedness, maybe even a little bit heavy. Where in your body do you feel rooted and grounded? You can choose to stay with this sensation as long as you want or release it whenever you desire. And I invite you to come into a time of quiet rest for the next 3 minutes. Just know that even though I'm quiet, I'm still here with you. And I'll let you know when this time is complete. You can choose to stay here in this time of rest for as long as you like. There's no rush to move out of it. But if you do feel complete and you are ready to move out of it, you might start to add some movement back into your body. And then in your own timing, you could begin to press yourself up. And I'll meet you in any seated shape of your choosing. If you'd like to join me with your hands at heart center, you might do so. Option to take a collective breath out and then breathe in together. As you go through your week, I invite you to continue taking moments to tune into your body, even if you're just noticing one sensation, such as when your body feels cold or hot, or when you feel heavy and rooted, or light and buoyant, or any other sensation. Thank you for practicing with me today.
I hope that you feel safe, connected, and at home in your body. Thank you.